This is the Superpowered Mind podcast for inquiring individuals who are tired of the struggle for peace, happiness, and clarity. I'm Claire Diamond, ready to help you explore the principles of the mind, the self, and reality to unlock ultimate mental freedom. This podcast is the one to listen to if you're ready to experience the capabilities of the superpowered mind. Hi, welcome to our episode 7 with the title, Is My Personality My Fault? And so this podcast is really looking at the origin of personality and the me that thinks it has a personality. And we can start to see really that they are the same thing. So what is personality really? It's the tendencies and traits and preferences and inclinations, ways of being, ways of behaving that are the result of both nature and nurture, aren't they? They're the genetic inheritance, and they are how those genes are activated as a result of the individual's experience. So personality arises. It's something that is developed over time. And it's so fascinating through this conversation. Oh my gosh, I see it over and over and over and over again, how personality changes through a mind becoming more and more settled, more and more sane, more and more tuned in to the power of the mind. So if we take introversion and extroversion, for example, so introversion is this sense of getting more energy from being alone or being in a small group or with just one other person. We're energized in that space. We're energized from smaller, intimate or solo experiences. Being with other people, bigger groups, people we don't know maybe, people who are very high energy, spending a lot of time talking with people or socializing is not energizing for an introvert. And so that, fine, clear that's avoided or it's understood what it's doing to the body mind. Extroverts, on the other hand, get their energy from talking and socializing and being with other people, being in larger groups, chatting away. And for them to be on their own is something that is not really sustainable for long periods of time. And what is so fascinating, we think these are so fixed. I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. But really, when through this conversation, we start to really look at the fear, shame, need, insecurity, lack that makes up the identity. And these things have come from the tough times in our life. They've come from the experiences of insecurity and fear. They've come from moments where we've learned that to survive, we need someone's attention or we need to avoid someone's attention. And so the identity, which is really this core conditioned system of what I believe I am, the more separate it is, so the more conviction there is of this is how I am, and this has to be protected. I have to protect this identity. The more that's in operation, the more it's coming from a fundamental sense of insecurity that is driven by acquired fear, need, shame, lack. And that conditioned core belief system will greatly impact all manner of social behavior, social interactions, the role that other people play in our lives, what they represent, what we think we need from them. And so what we see happening over and over and over again is that when that core belief system shifts, which it does in this conversation, because it can't survive genuine exploration and the true openness to all experiences, all emotions, that is really the healthy system in operation, healing. So when that core conditioned system of fear, need, shame, lack, insecurity starts to shift, and also just to say here, remember that that is really formed through other people. It's so fundamental. The relationships with other people, as the idea of self is being formed, really create this idea of our personality. And so as that starts to shift, so does this whole understanding of what we need from other people and what they represent. So whereas before other people might have been really feared, and I see this so often in our different courses, when our upbringing has been insecure, there's been vulnerability, when people's attention has been problematic in some way, either we've craved it or it's contained in it a danger, then relationships with other people can be really difficult. And that can lead to the view that I'm an introvert. I want to be on my own. And I want to be on my own because I'm scared of other people. The meaning they have within the conditioned system is of danger. But as that conditioned system heals and starts to shift, other people stop looking scary, because that was a projection from childhood that actually, when that's not there, people in our work, our friendships, our family, they change. The appearance of them, the view of them, the role that they have changes, because the conditioned system that creates the perception is changing. And so it's very possible, really, and I see it so often, that an introvert becomes an extrovert. And the other way around as well. So for an extrovert that was brought up in an insecure environment where attention was craved, there might have been neglect or absence, loss, grief. And so the holding of someone's attention, the being with someone, having someone's regard, that interaction with them, that sense of validation. I'm speaking, I've got an audience, people are listening to me, therefore I exist, I'm safe. That could be driving extroversion. So other people are necessary, an audience is necessary, attention is necessary. But again, when that core conditioned system ceases to have such a grip, it might well be that person no longer craves attention, no longer craves being with people, no longer is terrified of being alone. And so a deeper personality of introversion might well emerge. It's so fascinating. And so I would say the personality tests, like we have at work, Myers-Briggs and so on, are snapshots in time of a personality that is operating. They're accurate, they're measuring responses in this period right now, but that might not be the case in a few months' time. If the person is working with someone or is on a course in which the mind is being profoundly explored. So the question, is my personality my fault, is really, it's like it's sort of a wrong question in a way, because the me in that, the my in that, is the product of the conditioning. So there isn't a me that is deciding what traits or preferences, what reactions, responses are going to be there. The idea of me, the sense of what I am, is the product of that. And that will shift. So there is through looking at personality, through looking at where preferences and tendencies come from, we can really see there isn't a separate me doing any of that. That's a sort of operating model. It's a software, really, that is operating from the hardware of the subconscious belief system. And the me in all of that is the product of the software, really, isn't it? It's the hardware creates the software, and the software is the ways of behaving, the tendencies. And that's really what I think I am. But it's not anything, really, is it? It's just a learned system of responses and reactions that is absolutely available for changing. And so I really very often see, so these shifts in personality can be so enormous, from people who are so terrified, say, of being visible, putting work out in the world, stating their opinions, becoming so bold and clear and out there, out in the world, and other changes, all in so many different aspects of our behaviors and tendencies, all of it changing. And so as part of our superpowered mind exploration, what we can see is the shift that I'm really interested in for all of us is the ending of that identification. This is me. This is how I am. And this is what has to be defended. Because it's not, that isn't what we are. We are not the program. We are not that hardware system of beliefs. All of that can change. And all of it does change through this conversation. Because what we are is the intelligence that is operating a body, operating senses, operating the management of information to create responses and behavior. We are the aware presence, the consciousness in which all experience is arising, including the experience of being a separate individual. That's what we are. The content can never be what we are. The belief system can never be what we are. The mind isn't what we are. We are what is enabling and experiencing the product of the mind. So no one's fault. Personality is no one's fault because there is no one making that happen. And personality can profoundly shift as a mind settles into its truth, which is of observing experience rather than identifying with it. Lots of love. Bye. Thank you for listening to Superpowered Mind with me, Claire Diamond. If you want extra support in the exploration of your mind, download our exclusive subliminal recording, especially for podcast listeners, on bit.ly/podcast subliminal.